Welcome back to the series where I react to your hot takes in Geometry Dash, where I ask you guys in the community poll for your hot takes, and then pick a handful of them to react to. If you enjoyed today's video, please remember to like and subscribe, and without further ado, let's get into the video. The top play community will completely fall apart if Rob doesn't implement CBF before grief is verified. I agree. Scrap this, the entire community is going to be set on fire if robtop doesn't implement CBF before grief is verified. We get passionate about our top ones around here, and oh my god, if we have another tidal wave situation where robtop is firmly against adding the feature that made the verification possible, then we are all probably cooked for a couple months at least. Misanthrope's deco actually looks good, and people only think it's bad because they had way too high expectations. I kind of disagree with this one just because I think Misanthrope should have some pretty outstanding deco for its goal of being like the biggest collab in Geometry Dash. Honestly, I would have been fine with anything that wasn't just like red hell stuff, but I guess I kind of agree because like the decoration isn't really that bad. I just think it could be better. I don't know. It's not really that big of a deal anyways because the level's never going to get finished. One Alpha Helix says the 2020/COVID era of GD community, players, demonlist, etc. was the best time of the game and will never be topped. The community was so much more tightly knit and there were no huge rifts between areas of the community. I think part of that might just be an effect of the virus era, if you will. I mean, since 2.2 released, I feel like the community has been a lot larger, and like 2022 onwards kind of felt like there was a lot more division in the top play scene, which trickled down to most areas of the community. Plus Twitter has just been getting increasingly worse over the past few years, so honestly I kind of agree with this one. But I still think this is probably a pretty hot take considering that there's a lot of people who are either like 1.9 nostalgists or like maybe joined the community in like 2022. We need the ASS trilogy back, only real ones remember this. Yeah, I made a whole video on like the retrospective of this top 3. For those of you who don't know, it's Abyss of Darkness, Slaughterhouse, and Sakup in Circles. When AOD was considered top 1, it made the word ass in the top 3. Top 1A, top 2S, top 3S. And it was funny because at that point a lot of people didn't like any of those levels and thought they were all, well, ass. So many things would have to align for this to happen again, so I doubt it'll ever happen. But it would be pretty funny. Personally, I would like to see another RGB in the top 3. I think that'd be pretty cool. Tride says you don't need to be born with a creative mind to build a feature-worthy level even in 2024. Being creative and expressing that through GD levels are both skills anyone can learn. I mostly agree. The word worthy in feature-worthy level is carrying this idea on its back, because obviously the rate system isn't perfect, and like you could make a perfectly feature-worthy level, and like nobody notices it or something. But yeah, generally I would agree. I do think the standards for featured levels are a teensy bit high these days, but honestly, I do think anyone can really have the potential. I could also do the cynical thing and just say that if you keep making the same formula of level over and over again, eventually it'll get noticed. And if it's a formula that a lot of other feature levels have, then it will probably get featured. And that all, of course, is not very creative, that's just ripping off other stuff, so I guess that'd also be true. The Congregation jump scare is actually scary, and I have nightmares and cry myself to sleep every night thinking about it. 43 of you idiots liked this, by the way. Wavix should win the GD Awards for Best YouTuber. Not true, that award goes to GD Cologne because it would be funny. 2 years in a row, it would be hilarious. No one would ever stop laughing. Or honestly, EBW. I mean, he hit 1 million subscribers this year, pretty big milestone. Whatever, knowing how rigged the GD Awards is, it's gonna be like Viper or some shit. Zanny's mashups are straight fire. I agree that's a hot take, but I agree with it because my music taste is pretty out of whack. The demonlist should accept unrated levels. Ooh. I don't know about right now because such a huge change to the status quo would probably generate a ton of controversy, and there aren't necessarily any like big unrated levels that would place in the top 3 that I know of. Other than buffed Acheron, but that was like just its only controlling, so. But honestly, there would be a pretty good chance that this would happen if grief is verified with CBF and robtop doesn't rate it. Like, it could be a pretty big rift in the GD community that could lead to this outcome, which would be extremely interesting. I'd have to give it some more thought, though. The GD community will always be divided on one, most likely more, stupid issues. Yeah, that's just like statistically inevitable, basically. GD turned into American politics before GTA 6. robtop should hire someone? Of course he should, yeah, this is like the coldest take ever. I think hiring a dev team would be perfect, honestly, for this game, depending on who robtop chose. I went over this scenario in the what if robtop retired video I made, and honestly, partially why I made that video was because I really like the idea of having a dev team. With robtop also there, of course, just because, you know, then we would probably get updates more than once every 7 years. Levels should be verified with CBF. The demon list doesn't have to listen to robtop. True and true. I think it's fine to verify levels with CBF as long as you accept that it will probably not get rated, and as long as you're honest about it, but like, I could also see this being like a form of protest almost if this sort of controversy starts to like really blow up, potentially after grief is verified. like just a ton of people start verifying big projects with CBF eventually to like pressure robtop to add it to the game. That would be insane, and it would be par for the course for this wacky ass year. So honestly, let's go for it. People care way too much about individual top players instead of the actual level. They will literally argue on Twitter about who is better between Tronk, Zonk, or W-Punk. Incredibly true, but I think if they had the same fixation on the actual level, we would go back to the 2022 era of Acheron versus Slaughterhouse versus Sakupin Circles versus Abyss of Darkness, which one is the most ass or whatever. I think the problem is less that people fixate on the wrong thing so much as it's just fixating on one individual person or level instead of the accomplishment and the overall hyperfixation in general. It's still fun to speculate and all of that, but it's just gotten to the point where people are like on entire teams, to the point where people will like stick to their favorite top player even if they get exposed for being an asshole or like hack or something. But honestly, I think a lot of that is just because this community is filled to the brim with a bunch of children, so in one form or another, it's going to manifest as an issue in the community probably like forever. Camera rotations add to Centipede's atmosphere. That's interesting. I don't know how much I agree with it. I don't think it's like terrible. I don't think it like just destroys the level, but it's definitely a little distracting. I can't remember if they're optional on the level, but if they're not, they should be. I could see how it adds to the atmosphere, but I know like at least for me, I think I would feel like slightly motion sick playing with the camera controls, so I don't know. Abyss of Darkness has a few good parts. Okay, I kind of agree with this because the parts individually aren't bad. It's just the fact that they were all made in like 2 seconds because all the decorators had to crunch, and there's like zero purpose of the level other than to just be hard as balls basically. So but like the actual decoration, like each part in a vacuum is not terrible. The GD awards are probably rigged. Get rid of the word probably and you got yourself a deal. I don't think it's like some grand conspiracy between Viper and robtop and like the upper elite Illuminati of Geometry Dash. I think it genuinely is just probably something along the lines of, oh, Viperin works with robtop and heads the list, so he might put Cybernetic Crescent in the ranks this year. Like, it's not terrible. I don't think it really affects it too much. I still think it's worth a lot to get a GD award. The thing that affects it more would just be everyone having the biggest mob mentality surrounding the awards. Like the award for best player having like 200 bazillion% in like one candidate. And then the awards that a lot of people don't really care as much about, like best auto level, are actually more evenly split. Mobile players get overlooked in the community for the quote-unquote better computer players. Honestly, it's kind of difficult to compare the two, but like, there is an argument you could make that the hardest completion on mobile, which if I remember correctly is Sonic Wave, it takes more skill, time, and dedication to do than beating Tidal Wave on computer with a 360Hz monitor. You can make an argument there, but I think it really depends on your individual skill set, your own personal like reaction time and things like that. However, I do agree that they're overlooked and we should give more attention to like the top play mobile community, because regardless, there's still some really, really impressive achievements. Anathema by far is the best upcoming top 10. I mean, I guess it's up there. I do personally find Firewall to be more interesting, but yeah, I also do really like Anathema. The part that I disagree with the most is probably the fact that it's an upcoming top 10, because by the time that Rory actually verifies it, it will be top 50. So, like, it's been over a year. Bro is pulling a Swyborg. It's actually crazy. We need to have a meme top 1? True! That would be such a breath of fresh air compared to the over-seriousness of the top 1 space sometimes. Although I guess I could argue that there are so many memes being made about Tidal Wave that Tidal Wave is kind of a meme top 1. But yeah, like a full bona fide meme themed top 1 would be kind of funny. The only gamble would be that it could be based off a bunch of jokes that are considered really cringe a few years in the future. But I think the funniness of the moment would outweigh the concerns. Easier demons, being easy, medium, and hard, are the best difficulties in the game. I feel insane and extreme demons are particular in how they are made and have a lot more restrictions. Easier demons have a lot more freedom in how they can be created, also hence why most legendary/mythics levels are this difficulty. People don't give these levels the respect they deserve, especially only featured in some epic rated levels. I wholeheartedly agree with this. There's so much more potential in like easy demons really impacting the community because it's way more accessible to like most of the community. I mean, take a level like White Space, for example, or something like Change of Scene. These like really crazy levels made by extremely talented people that like rock the community in the same way that like a top 1 would, but more people can personally experience it for themselves. In terms of the freedom of how to create these levels, I think that definitely applies to the gameplay of them because there's a lot more like cool techniques that you can do without having to worry about, oh, is this difficult enough to be on the demon list? But I do think that this argument does apply to like insane demons and easier extreme demons. It's just harder to execute. But yeah, overall, I think this is a pretty solid take. Tidal Wave is the first top 1 in a while that hasn't been hell-themed, and I love it. We need more levels like Tidal Wave. Listen, I might personally think this is a cold take, but again, this is probably one of those things that will start an absolute war in the comments. But yeah, I am, of course, known for not being critical of hell-themed levels at all, so. The swing is the best game mode because it reminds everyone about the learning process of learning a new game mode, like how people had to learn all of the others in the past, which is a key part of Geometry Dash as a whole in my opinion. Yeah, I remember back in February I made a whole video on this idea because I think swing gets overhated a lot. It's possible that it's just sort of growing pains, and in like a year or so people will be much more used to the idea, but it also makes me skeptical of adding even more game modes to the game after. Because I do agree that like after swing, we're kind of getting to the point where there aren't very many game mode ideas that would be very interesting. GD's search system needs an update. I'm not even reading the rest of that. That is incredibly based. It is the coldest take we've had so far. The Hell series, World, Zone, etc. are the best extreme demons in the game. Oh, hi, Stormfly. Why did you name yourself GD Cats? You're wrong. Next question. Apocalyptic Trilogy is a good level and deserves to be top 1. I agree with the first half of that. I don't think it deserves to be top 1 because I think it deserves better than that. I think it deserves to be known for its incredible decoration, sort of like Edge of Destiny, and not fall into the fate of being completely unplayable just for the sake of it being extremely difficult. From what I can see, Poltergeist's version of the level seems a lot better, so honestly, I think it's the best outcome that we could have gotten. The demonlist is cooked. When is it ever not cooked? Sonic Wave and Hard Machine are both bloodless difficulty. I mean, they're all extreme demons, so I guess that's partially true. Exasperation, Misanthrope, and Galaxy Collapse should be revived. I agree with the last two, but Exasperation is the most uninteresting impossible level of all time. I mean, seriously, everything about that level just like pisses me off for some reason. The gameplay is terrible. If it weren't for the question mark orbs for the entire level, there would literally be no part of it that was recognizable. The decoration would probably just be like a monochrome mess of like generic glow stuff that everyone is just going to find extremely divisive or just boring. Calculator core levels of boring. Gameplay's a little quirky, but it's still just terrible, and the song choice is Trick Denny diss track levels of bad. Like, it's not good at all. This game doesn't need 2.3 or really any large-scale update anymore. I would generally agree with this just because the community held itself pretty well together over 2.1's very, very drawn-out era, but it would still be nice to get some new official content every once in a while. We definitely need 2.21 just because 2.2 is kind of unfinished without it. And of course Geode is holding us over, but especially with quality of life improvements, we definitely probably still need an update or two. Solid 456 something % of this damn community needs to seek mental help. Yeah, that's just gonna be the case with any community that has a large Twitter sub-community, a large Discord sub-community, and a large population of very young members of the community. I think we should use robtop's money to give every single Geometry Dash community member their own personal therapist. Trick is not and will never be better than Zoink. That's a pretty strong take there, but I'm gonna be honest, you're probably correct just because Trick kind of needed to sneak up on everybody in order to become #1 on the stats viewer, and it's very clear that Zoink could overtake him if he felt like it. And to be fair, Zoink did verify 3 consecutive top 1s, and considering that Trick is probably going to quit the community after beating Amethyst, I don't think he will be the player to surpass Zoink. That is more likely to be W Pop-Off. So yeah, that's it for today's video. If you did enjoy it, please remember to like and subscribe and all of that. It helps out the channel a ton and everything. Comment down below your hot take of the day, and please remember to be kind to each other in the comments. If you'd like to, you can join my Discord server, the link is in the description, and yeah, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all in the next one. Goodbye!